Good evening, everybody. The Boulder City Police Department, Boulder City Fire Department, Boulder City Municipal Court would like to welcome everybody to our 4th annual Combined Awards Recognition Ceremony. Today we'll recognize police, fire, and our court personnel for their dedication and outstanding work to our city, and our volunteers that have risen to the challenge to help our agencies and the community. I am Deputy Chief of Police Aaron Johnson, and this is my colleague, co-host, Assistant Chief Josh Barone.
We'd also like to extend a special thank you and welcome for the men and women of Boulder City Police Department, Boulder City Fire Department, and the Boulder City Municipal Courts and the court marshals and their families. Thank you very much.
We'd just like to take a minute to recognize the awards committee that really put this together. This entire process goes through some vetting. It's not just that people submit something and then they just get handed an award. That goes through a process, I know, at the police department, the fire department, and they get together to put this on. So there's many hands in this pie right now. So we'd like the awards committee to please stand up and be recognized, because without you, we would not be here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce to you our guest speaker and narrator for the evening, Ron Russ. But before Ron comes up here, let me read you his bio. Our MC tonight, Ron Russ, spent nearly 50 years in the commercial radio broadcast industry in Los Angeles. His voice was routinely heard in both as a DJ and as on countless radio and TV commercial. Ron also was the announcer for comedian Chevy Chase's short-lived late night show on Fox TV, which came from Ross's stand-up comedy performances at all the major Los Angeles comedy clubs. Now retired from broadcasting, Ron's favorite claim to fame is as just one of the Boulder City PD's patrol officers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ron Russ.
Thank you. Chief Chesser, Police Chief Shea, Deputy Chief Johnson, Mayor Hardy, members of our City Council, distinguished guests, I would like to sincerely thank those decision makers in charge for the honor of being this evening's MC. The opportunity to be just a small part of recognizing the amazing service, heroism, and dedication to serving and protecting the citizens of Boulder City is truly a high honor, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Let's get started. The first awards we will present will be for the Boulder City Police Department. I would like to invite Chief Shea up to the podium to present the awards. Police Department awards are given to groups and/or individuals as nominated by their supervisors and approved through the employee management team. That team is a group of peers from each division within the police department. Each of these awards was reviewed, vetted, and approved through this approval process. The first award being given tonight is a Certificate of Appreciation. The Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to members, other law enforcement agency officers, or public safety employees for continuous outstanding performance of duty, or to employees who render a duty or service of commendable nature. On November 6, 2023, a citizen, Andrew Zhang, commended this officer for his kindness and professionalism during a call for service at the Veterans Memorial Park on November 4, 2023. The call originated after a male at the park was yelling at Mr. Zhang's son and stole his fishing net. An excerpt from the submittal is as follows, and I quote, "I am writing to express our deep gratitude for the outstanding support we received from Police Officer David Olson, a member of your department. On the evening of November 4, Saturday, around 5 p.m., my 9-year-old son and I were subjected to a distressing incident at Boulder City Veteran Memorial Park. A man used racist language and targeted us for no apparent reason while we were peacefully fishing. In our time of need, I called 911, and to our immense relief, Officer David Olson and a team of 6 to 8 other police officers promptly arrived to assist us. I want to highlight Officer Olson's exceptional kindness and professionalism during this difficult situation. He not only diffused the situation with care, but also provided crucial emotional support to my son. In the midst of my son's tears, David embraced him and reassured him that he had done nothing wrong. His compassionate approach made an enormous difference to us and helped alleviate the distress we were experiencing. I cannot stress enough how much this meant to our family. We deeply appreciate Officer David Olson's extraordinary dedication to his duty and to his community. He embodies the values and spirit of your department, and we feel safer knowing that officers like him are there to protect and support us. Please convey our heartfelt thanks to Officer David Olson for his outstanding service." End quote. Will Officer David Olson please come to the podium? In January of 2024, St. Jude's Ranch for Children began fostering children identified as victims of sex trafficking. This development created the necessity for more resources to conduct follow-up investigations for these victims, as unfortunately they often and repeatedly return to their traffickers. This officer has been working diligently to conduct follow-up investigations for these victims. These investigations include working with outside resources such as LVMPD, VICE, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the Department of Family Services. One such child victim ran away from St. Jude's early in 2024. Through his contacts and diligent efforts, this officer was able to identify escort ads for the child coming from Oakland, California. He contacted Oakland's Human Trafficking Task Force, which included the FBI. The Bureau subsequently was able to conduct an operation to locate the child, and in that process, also rescued another 14-year-old child from sexual slavery. Because of this officer's efforts, these children no longer have to live that life. This is what good police work is all about. Will Officer Eric Prunty please come to the podium? Sergeant Driscoll will be accepting on his behalf. Being alone and isolated is one of the greatest fears of older adults. The Boulder City Police Department's You Are Not Alone, or YANA program, is a free service conducted in partnership with the Boulder City Senior Center. It allows older adults to have comfort and security in the knowledge that someone is checking in on them on a regular basis. For approximately the last year, 2 BCPD officers have been visiting with one of the YANA clients, Bill Wiezerek, at his residence. These officers saw a need for this elderly man to make community connections and voluntarily fulfilled that need. One of the officer's sons joined the visits, learning history from Mr. Wiezerek, who is 101 years old. The officers also surprised Mr. Wiezerek with a birthday cake. These actions are in keeping with the mission, vision, tradition, and culture of the Boulder City Police Department. Will Sergeant Peter Wheeler, Officer Jason Hunt, and Sergeant Wheeler's son, Landon Robert Wheeler, please come to the podium. Our next recognition for the police department is the Letter of Commendation. The Letter of Commendation is awarded to members or other law enforcement agency officers or public safety employees for an act of service resulting in unusual and/or outstanding achievement. On December 6, 2023, at approximately 11:45 a.m., a gunman entered the Lee Business School's Frank and Estella Beam Hall at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, and opened fire, killing 3 university professors and wounding 1 other person. The gunman, later determined to have been acting alone, was confronted by a UNLV police detective and killed in an exchange of gunfire. Following the initial calls of an active shooter, a massive regional response was initiated, and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department requested mutual aid from any department willing to help. Boulder City Department Lieutenant Thomas Healing, Sergeants John Glenn, Tiffany Driscoll, and Chris Slack, along with detectives Mark Dubois, Brett Hood, Kenny Calzada, and officers Kevin Bearcat and Guy Lidke, responded to UNLV to assist. Upon arrival, this contingent of Boulder City police personnel which comprised approximately 25% of Boulder City Police Department's sworn officers, were initially tasked with securing the perimeter of a residential hall on the campus. However, as resources became scarce, their mission would change. Shortly thereafter, this 9-officer contingent was tasked with clearing residential halls for any additional threats and evacuating any students that had been sheltering in place. During the several hours these officers were on scene, they demonstrated continuity in their objective and repeatedly operated outside their general capacities. Where no active threat is perceived, generally the functions of room clearing and/or hostage rescues are reserved for tactically trained and equipped officers assigned to, for example, SWAT units. Nevertheless, BCPD officers received their instructions and moved forward with purpose, going door to door throughout the residential halls, checking and clearing dorm rooms, and evacuating hundreds of students from Tonopah Hall, Mitzi and Johnny Hughes Residence Hall, and Jim Road Residence Hall. Following the completion of their duties, a member of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's Incident Command Post, Sergeant David Watts, messaged a member of our team the following, and I quote, "I wanted to say thank you for your hard work tonight, both you and your team. You guys were solid and trustworthy, and because of that, you were used a lot. We really appreciate it. Please let your team know how much that means to us. If you ever need anything, please let me know. Solid work. Take care, sir." End quote. By their actions, these officers demonstrated an outstanding achievement under uncertain circumstances, accomplishing tasks which were above and beyond normal expectations, and did so in an outstanding manner. With Lieutenant Thomas Healing, Sergeants John Glenn, Tiffany Driscoll, and Chris Slack, along with Detectives Mark Dubois, Brett Hood, Kenny Calzada, and Officers Kevin Bearcat and Guy Lidke, please come to the podium. On September 24, 2023, this sergeant was working an off-duty assignment at Allegiant Stadium during a Las Vegas Raiders football game. At approximately 7 p.m., an LVMPD officer, also working the event in the vicinity of the BCDB sergeant, suffered a medical emergency. This sergeant quickly determined the officer was having a seizure and took the necessary steps to ensure the officer's airway was clear after aspirating, was in the recovery position, and called for help using her radio. At some point, the officer had no detectable pulse, at which time the sergeant and another LVMPD officer began CPR on the officer. Upon the arrival of medical personnel, this sergeant cleared the crowd and assisted EMTs in their efforts to ensure they could move the officer for transport to UMC. The officer was successfully transported to UMC, where he was reported to be in stable condition. For her efforts, Sergeant Tiffany Driscoll was commended by LVMPD Lieutenant Kendall Bell for her quick thinking, professionalism, and potentially life-saving efforts. Will Detective Sergeant Tiffany Driscoll please come to the podium? Our final award to give for the Police Department employees is the Meritorious Service Award. The Meritorious Service Award is conferred upon an individual or group who distinguished themselves through exceptional work performance which made a positive contribution to the department and community. A member or team accomplishes a task which is above and beyond normal expectations and accomplishes it in an outstanding manner. On June 23rd of 2023, at approximately 016 hours, or 16 minutes past midnight, dispatch received information from Henderson Police Department asking for assistance attempting to locate a kidnapping victim being transported in a vehicle. The kidnapping victim contacted Henderson Police Dispatch to inform them she was currently with the suspect, that the suspect was her ex-boyfriend, and that he was armed with a handgun and a knife. The victim further explained that she had been cut by the suspect and that the vehicle was traveling toward the desert because the suspect, using her words, intended to kill her. Boulder City Police Department officers quickly located the vehicle in Boulder City and attempted to stop the vehicle. The vehicle fled, and a long pursuit through multiple jurisdictions ensued. Boulder City Police Dispatch, staffed only by a single dispatcher, Dispatcher Destiny Gilbert, successfully monitored the pursuit, coordinated resources, and patched radio channels together, all while continuing to be available to take additional emergency calls for service. Officer Jason Hunt, who had assumed the duties of acting sergeant for the watch, monitored radio traffic, ensured officers' safety, and organized resources, all the while participating in this pursuit. At 2 a.m., nearly 2 hours after the first 911 notice, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department personnel took control of the pursuit on Owens Avenue near Hollywood Boulevard. The pursuit culminated in the vehicle being forcibly stopped by LVMPD officers, after which the suspect barricaded in the vehicle with multiple victims. At some point during the barricaded event, the suspect was shot by an LVMPD SWAT sniper and died several weeks later. Because of the meritorious acts by Officer Hunt and Dispatcher Gilbert, which allowed LVMPD officers to locate the suspect vehicle and utilize their extensive resources to bring the event to an end, all 3 kidnapping victims were safely rescued. Will Officer Jason Hunt and Dispatcher Destiny Gilbert please come to the podium? Our next recipient for the Meritorious Service Award came to the Boulder City Police Department in 2017 after a storied career in law enforcement spanning more than 4 decades. This honoree was a professional law enforcement officer, first with the Glendale PD, then leaving California for Colorado as a cop in Grand Junction. Those who've spent more than 5 minutes with him know we're talking about Pat Richardson. Woo! When Pat started at the department, he was hired as a part-time police support aide and became a full-time employee in 2018, working code enforcement as well as his sport aide duties. Believing Pat's plate had plenty of room still available, Chief Shea asked him to also oversee our department's volunteer program as well as managing our school crossing guards. Amazingly, he accepted. To understand why the chief wanted Pat to assume these added responsibilities, one only needs to see Pat's abilities to take on a multitude of different and oftentimes difficult tasks and see to it every I is dotted, every T is crossed. Add to that Pat's always upbeat, happy warrior attitude, and it's easy to understand why he quickly became the department's go-to guy. When Pat first took over the volunteer program, it was in complete disarray, lacking basic organization and structure. Using his many years as an officer, supervisor, and trainer, he was able to quickly reform the program into a highly effective unit, supporting our sworn officers and the department at large. His dedicated volunteers add visibility to the department in the community, performing vacation checks, assisting with traffic control and special events, taking patrol units in for maintenance, and many other tasks that are deeply appreciated by those who otherwise would have to take on those duties. Add to that Pat's positive spirit, his receptive attitude toward last-minute requests for volunteer callouts, service details, and more. One of the department's most valuable assets in Pat is his unmatched experience. There's rarely a day that goes by when Pat isn't contacted by someone requesting his knowledge of city laws, code enforcement issues, or his vast experience as a former officer. Perhaps no other group appreciates Pat more than his family of volunteers, who to a person holds him in the highest regard. When asked, every volunteer will tell you Pat treats them like family. And when their actual family needs them, he insists they always come first. Pat's affection for his people is truly a two-way street, inspiring loyalty, respect, and dedication. The Boulder City Police Department is honored to have such an outstanding employee as Pat Richardson and wishes to formally acknowledge him now with its well-deserved Meritorious Service Award. Will Pat Richardson please come to the podium? Our next awards for the police department will be for some of our amazing volunteers. Our first volunteer award is a letter of commendation. Chaplain Thrower has been the chaplain for the Boulder City Police Department since March of 2019. Chaplain Michael is an ordained chaplain and a licensed minister with the state of Nevada. He is the coordinator for Adopt-A-Cop Nevada. Chaplain Michael recognizes the trauma that law enforcement officers often experience and is working to provide training to help our employees cope with the stress of the profession. Chaplain Michael has been called out to assist officers on various calls, usually involving a death investigation, where the family is seeking the assistance of clergy. He also provides one-on-one counseling to our staff. Our chaplain is always uplifting when he stops by the police department and is a great asset to the men and women who provide law enforcement services to our community. Will Chaplain Michael Thrower please come to the podium? Our next and last award for our police department volunteers is the coveted Volunteer of the Year Award. This person has been a volunteer with the Boulder City Police Department since October of 2018. He volunteered 231 hours of service to the city in 2023. He's a squad leader in the volunteer program and trains new volunteers as they come into the police department. He has been involved directly in training all the volunteers who currently are in the program. He's often asked to interview and screen applicants who apply to the volunteer program, as he has excellent judgment on the quality of people we are trying to attract to the Boulder City Police Department. He's often the first person to volunteer for additional assignments and always makes himself available on short notice. He's been a stable influence on the program for many years. He often makes suggestions to improve the program and provide additional training to volunteer staff. He's a resident of Boulder City and is extremely proud of his community and his opportunity to provide service. Will Lonnie the Lonster Munson please come forward to the podium? A final congratulations to all the recipients of the 2024 Boulder City Police Department Awards. One more round of applause, please. And with that, we will now move to the awards presented from the Boulder City Fire Department. We'd like to invite Acting Chief Chesser to the stand to present the awards. Chief Barone, Captain Walton, Engineer Gabiola, Firefighters Hadley, Spradley, and Acevedo, please come forward. The Lifesaving Award is presented to Assistant Fire Chief Josh Barone, Captain Nigel Walton, his second Lifesaving Award, Engineer Mike Gabiola, Paramedic Firefighter Harold Hadley, Ryan Spradling, his second Lifesaving Award, and Reserve Firefighter Rob Acevedo for their actions on April 26, 2023. During an emergency medical response call, they found a patient who was unresponsive and pulseless. The team quickly took necessary actions to reverse the situation, confirming a pulse and sinus tach rhythm prior to transporting the patient to the hospital. These efforts saved the patient's life and clearly shows their commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency services possible. Captains Walton and Whitworth, Engineer Gabiola, Firefighters Hadley, Thien, and Hubbard, please come forward. The Life-Saving Award is presented to Captain Nigel Walton, his third Life Save Award, Captain Jimmy Whitworth, his third Life Save Award, Engineer Mike Gabiola, his second Life Save, Paramedic Firefighter Harold Hadley, his second Life Save Award, Paramedic Firefighter Kurt Thien, and Reserve Paramedic Firefighter Elijah Hubbard, his second Life Save Award for actions on August 16, 2023, during an emergency medical response call for a patient who was unresponsive and pulseless. The team quickly took necessary actions to reverse the situation, confirming a pulse and sinus tach rhythm prior to transporting the patient to the hospital. These efforts save the patient's life and clearly shows their commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire, rescue, and emergency services possible. Captain Walton, Engineer Gabiola, Firefighters Spradling, Schuster, Thien, Zukas, Hines, and Acevedo, please come forward. The Lifesaving Award is presented to Captain Nigel Walton, his fourth Lifesave Award, Engineer Mike Gabiola, his third Lifesave, Paramedic Firefighter Ryan Spradling, his second Lifesave Award, Paramedic Firefighter Dan Schuster, his second Lifesave Award, Paramedic Firefighter Alex Zukas, Paramedic Firefighter Kurt Thien, his second Lifesave Award, Paramedic Firefighter Quincy Hines, and Reserve Paramedic Firefighter Rob Acevedo, his second Lifesave Award, for actions on October 30, 2023. During an emergency medical response call for a patient who was unresponsive and pulseless, the team quickly took necessary actions to reverse the situation, confirming a pulse and sinus tach rhythm prior to transporting the patient to the hospital. Their efforts saved the patient's life and clearly shows their commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency services possible. Captains Mooney and Whitworth, Engineer Clift, Firefighters Dardano, Giles, and Jones, please come forward. The Lifesaving Award is presented to Captain Denzil Mooney, Captain Jimmy Whitworth, his fourth Lifesave Award, Engineer Justin Clift, Paramedic Firefighter Jay Dardano, his second Lifesave Award, Paramedic Firefighter Nick Giles, his second Lifesave Award, Reserve Firefighter Casey Jones, for actions on December 9, 2023. During an emergency medical response call for a patient who was unresponsive and pulseless, the team quickly took necessary actions to reverse the situation, confirming a pulse and sinus tach rhythm prior to transporting the patient to the hospital. These efforts saved the patient's life and clearly shows their commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency services possible. Chiefs Barone, Porter, and Satterley, Captain Bleck, and Firefighter Ford, please come forward. The Fire Department Commendation is awarded to a member where a highly credible accomplishment performed within the scope of their duties and job description set forth by the Fire Department. The commendation is presented to Assistant Fire Chief Josh Barone, his second commendation, Reserve Battalion Chief Mike Porter, Reserve Battalion Chief Scott Satterley, Captain Aaron Bleck, and Firefighter Carl Ford, his second commendation, for their efforts in establishing a quality and effective technical rescue program for the department. Their work in building the program and conducting training to members has increased response capabilities for technical rescue responses. Would Firefighter Shea please come forward? The Fire Chiefs Award recognizes an individual that has exemplified him or herself in their respective service, which may include actions that the member has taken on or off the job, which furthers the tradition of the fire service. The Fire Chiefs Award is presented to paramedic firefighter Brian Shea for his commitment to public education for the children of Boulder City. His enthusiasm and work in conducting fire and safety education shows his commitment to the citizens of Boulder City to ensure the most effective and efficient fire rescue and emergency service possible. Last year, the fire department established the Reserve Firefighter of the Year Award. This award recognizes accomplishments in line with devotion to duty, service to the public, and bringing positive acclaim to the department. All reserve firefighters with a minimum of 1 year service are eligible and nominated by their peers. The 2024 Reserve Firefighter of the Year is Elijah Hubbard. The Firefighter of the Year recognizes the accomplishments in line with devotion to duty, service to the public, and bringing positive acclaim to the department. The 2024 Firefighter of the Year is Paramedic Firefighter Brian Shea. Retired paramedic firefighter Walt West, please come forward. The Medal of Merit is awarded to a member who performs a notable act of distinction in the performance of duty and reflects the integrity and devotion shown by the recipient. The Medal of Merit is awarded to paramedic firefighter Walt West, retired, for his dedication to the city of Boulder City and Boulder City Fire Department for 23 years of service. On behalf of the department, Walt is also presented with his retirement gift from the department. The next awards we will present will be for the Boulder City Municipal Courts. I would like to invite Chief Marshal Safransky up to the podium to present the awards. The following marshals are recognized with certificates of appreciation. Deputy Court Marshal Joel Guerrero, please come to the podium.
He's not here.
And he's not here, so round of applause. Deputy Court Marshal Joel Guerrero is recognized for his invaluable services and contributions to the Boulder City Municipal Court. His dedication, hard work, and generosity have made a significant impact to our community. This year, Joel not only maintained his extensive court responsibilities, but also completed both the basic instructor development training and firearms training. Joel also assisted in updating training manuals and training practices. His commitment to professional growth and support exemplifies the distinction for which we are truly grateful. And another round of applause, please. Deputy Court Marshal Laura Hess, please come to the podium. Deputy Court Marshal Laura Hess is commended for her invaluable services and contributions to the Boulder City Municipal Court. Her dedication, hard work, and generosity has significantly impacted our community. This year, Laura demonstrated exceptional commitment by leading the implementation of the Corasoft communication program to the drug court and using her Spanish language skills to translate and create new forms for the court. Her initiative and dedication to learning while striving to achieve more are greatly appreciated. The next and final award for our evening is a very special recognition. From the Municipal Court, our Police Department, and the Fire Department, we would like to invite Chief Shea and Chief Chesser back up to the podium to assist in the presentation of this award. This award is entitled the Legacy Award and is given to a person who has dedicated his career to the safety of our law enforcement, employees, and all citizens of Boulder City. Will Judge Victor Lee Miller please come to the podium? Judge Victor Lee Miller. Judge Miller was appointed municipal judge in February of 1984. He's been given a Nevada, or has been a resident of Nevada since 1954. He graduated from Brigham Young University in 1977 with a Bachelor of Arts degree. He earned his Juris Doctor degree from McGeorge School of Law, University of the Pacific, in 1981. Judge Miller has been admitted to practice law in the Nevada Supreme Court, United States District Court, United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, and the United States Tax Court. In addition to being appointed as municipal judge for Boulder City, he also serves as the Justice of Peace for Boulder Township and has done so since 1993. In June of 2001, he was appointed District Court Juvenile Hearing Master to hear juvenile matters occurring in Boulder City, Laughlin, and Searchlight, Nevada. He also serves as a judge pro tempore in the 8th Judicial District Court's short trial program, having been assigned to well over 100 such cases. Judge Miller has served on many Nevada Supreme Court committees to help improve the administration of justice in Nevada, such as the Judicial Council of the State of Nevada's Ad hoc Committee to standardize domestic violence protective order forms, harassment and stalking orders forms, and the forms for workplace protection against harassment in the workplace, and the Committee to study evidence-based pretrial release. Judge Miller is continually seeking judicial training to be sure Boulder's courts are state-of-the-art and most up-to-date in the effective administration of justice. He's been honored with the Basic, the Advanced, and the Distinguished Achievement Awards in judicial education certificates by the Nevada Supreme Court for completing well over 640 hours of judicial education. Judge Miller has been recognized by several organizations and has received many awards for service to the community during his career. Recently, he was presented with the 18th Annual Bill Andrews Award for Outstanding Community Service in Boulder City by the City Council. In January 2019, he was recognized by the Nevada Judges of Limited Jurisdiction as their Outstanding Judge of the Year 2018. Currently, Judge Miller is president of the Nevada Judges of Limited Jurisdiction Association, which is comprised of all the justices of the peace and municipal judges in our state. In addition to this lifetime's worth of achievements, Judge Miller has been a staple of public safety in the Boulder City community. Judge Miller has overseen issuing warrants, administering justice in both the municipal court and the justice court, and creating new policies that affect community safety. He has also spent time in the community as a coach, a father, and friend. Judge Victor Lee Miller has dedicated his entire life to service in Boulder City, and therefore is the recipient of much gratitude and thanks from all the departments that work towards public safety here in Boulder City. For these and many reasons, we would like to award Justice Victor Lee Miller the Legacy Award.
I love Boulder City, and I love working with the professionals in the justice system in this city. Because of professionals that we've seen awarded today, and we heard them go by with sirens that are working constantly to keep the city safe. I feel honored to be part of that system. As I'm seeing people getting awards here, and remembering back when I became judge, and I thought, well, gosh, a lot of them were just in high school when I became judge, and then I realized many of them weren't even born yet. And but thank you very much for this award. This has been my life's work to make Boulder a safe community, what we can be proud of it as a safe community. And it's because of the professionals that sit out here and work every day to do that. And I'm thrilled to be a partner with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. And with that, I'd like to now turn the time back over to Deputy Chief Johnson and Assistant Chief Barone. Thank you all.
We'd like to invite Chief Shea, Chief Shusher, and Chief Marshal Zafransky back up for their words and comments and give us a bit of wisdom.
I'll be short, believe it or not. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. And I say it's evenings like this and looking around and hearing what our folks do, not all of which certainly ends up being awarded. There's so much that goes on that it just looks upon as routine. There are things, for example, that Dave does that no one does. When a homeless person needs a place to stay and he pays for the hotel room. There's things that our folks do that just never rise up to the spotlights. But I can tell you, I'm very proud of the men and women that work here. I've been around for a little while, and I think we got as good as any place I've ever been around the country. And I'm humbled to be a part of them. And like I've told the press, I'm the least important person here. The men and women who are out here every day doing this job, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, every year, since 1933 really, is when the police department started here. And we never close. They are always here. And I appreciate being a part of it, and thank you all for coming.
So I have a few things. First, I want to say thanks to our city leadership, our council, mayor. Thank you guys again for your support. We're in our 4th year of doing this combined awards thing, and you guys have shown up every time. So I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank our city leadership, directors for, again, every year we've done this. You guys have shown up every time, whether it's in the afternoon or now we're in the evening. So I appreciate the support on that one. I want to give another little quick shout out to Brian and Tiffany. Around January, February, I kind of remind them, I'm like, hey, the awards is in June, ready, set, go. And they take it and run with it. And I think every year, I think they do an exceptional job. So I just want to give them a little clap and thank you guys for what you do without. A very important piece that I want to talk about is our family members, and I want to thank all the family members that are here. You are our support. So you catch the brunt of what we in this room see every day. So without you guys, it would be a rough evening, rough weekend. So I want to thank you guys that are in here that support us every day. So thank you. Lastly, since tonight is about the guys and the gals in the uniform, congrats to all the award winners. I'd also like to take this moment to acknowledge my gratitude to all of our fire, police, and courts personnel, whether you received an award or not. We have an incredible team of people that work well together in all kinds of situations, and I am proud and honored each of you and your service to our community, and honored to serve beside you. Thank you, guys.
They always save the best for last. So I will acknowledge that we are the smallest department here in Boulder, and we're actually the newest department here in Boulder. We're only about 14 years old, being the Marshal Division with the court. And in that 14 years, we've had to grow, we've had to learn, but we've looked for our ways to contribute. And it's been our marshals that have stepped up, and when you guys go out and save them and go out and catch them, it becomes our job to try to help to reform them. And we take that very seriously, and my marshals pick that up, and they really run with it. They care, they answer calls in their off hours, they show up to the events that are outside of their scope of work because they want to be a contributing member to the community, and they don't even live here, some of them. But it's important to them, so I want to make sure that they all know that we really appreciate everything that they've done. And I really appreciate the opportunity that the court has to develop a spot to play a role in the public safety of Boulder City, though. So we'll keep on doing our part, and I appreciate you guys doing yours. Thank you.
We would now like to ask our mayor of the city, Dr. Joe Hardy, to come up and have us share a few words of wisdom with us.
They told me that you were saving the best for last, and Steve Walton informed me he's speaking after I am. Oh, did I tell them that? Oh, I'm sorry. What a night. As I was pondering, what everyone has been saying and who we are in Boulder City and who we are, I just thank you. I thank you family, performers, doers, carers, people who are involved. Really, we appreciate you. We thank you. This is a time where we are recognized as being one of the safest cities, lowest insurance rates, etc., because we have people who care, people who are involved, people who aren't afraid, people who step up, people who rescue people. It was a sobering experience to go into the home of somebody who had about 43 paramedic fire people working on them the other night. At least that's what it seemed like. And they were all doing what they were trained to do and doing it well. And I'm just always appreciative of those who would give their time and their very safety in protecting others and doing what not only you've been called to do, but you are willing to do. I appreciate what you do. I thank you for it. Public service is what you do, and what we're defining and seeing tonight is public service is many times just one person at a time. One person who's down. One person who's getting help. And sometimes that one person is several persons in another place, and yet you respond, yet you go to the fire. That was Famous Warrior's plea when asked what he should do. I go to the sounds of the gun. And that's what you're doing. You're going where the problem is, and you're giving hope. You're giving courage. You're giving solace. You're saying the prayers. You're doing the dispatch. You're protecting from animals. You're protecting people from strange people. You're protecting people from natural disasters. Thank you so much. And may the Lord bless you. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to take a minute to thank everybody in attendance for the award ceremony tonight. I want to reiterate and spin a little bit off of what Chief Chesser was saying. I don't know if you've noticed or heard the firefighters getting up out of their seats to respond to a call for service, but before they left, some of them gave a kiss to the loved one sitting next to them. So we're greatly appreciative, I get a little teary here, of our spouses when I'm sitting at a date night or a date breakfast with my wife just yesterday, and I'm texting or emailing or doing something because someone wants to know something that I don't know and I have to find out what it is, and I'm calling people while we're in the middle of breakfast. And you get the look from them going, I'm patient, I'm understanding, I know that's your job. And we saw it again tonight when our firefighter paramedics kissed their loved ones goodbye, headed out the door. And so you are our support network. We love you, we appreciate you. And not just the wives, but our husbands as well. Realize this every single day, that we understand your job and your role in the community, and we're here to support you, even though it takes away from our families. So with that, again, thank you to those that we love. Thanks, babe, and all the rest of the babes out there. So did I want everybody to just take a moment and thank the Boulder Creek Golf Course's staff for a wonderful evening tonight. Wonderful kazoo. Thank you so much.